Carl Allen Wolfe and Grace Margaret Brown. Allen Wolfe, and I don't know what his first wife, which was my dad's mother, I don't know what her name was. She was in Applegate. He married her, but then they got divorced, and he remarried, but I can't remember her name either. They lived in Florida, but after he died, she went to Texas because her son's a heart specialist in Texas, or at Fort Worth. And on the other side was Grover Brown and Mary Flanagan. Ma's August 5th. His was December 16th. Ma was born in, I think, in advance, but I'm not sure. He was born in Cincinnati. They met in California. Mom was working in the shipyards, and he was going to the Marines. I don't know, her and some friend of hers out there. She was 24, I think, 23 or 4. I think he was older than her, but I'm sure. Tin bar, mostly. He worked at Wilkins for a while, or Rass. He didn't really work. And they worked for Dubuque Pack too, but he really didn't work either place. He carried clipboard around. He played ball for their teams. He left when I was 2, so I don't know too much about him. I seen him once when I was 7. He stopped in. When we lived here in town. Yeah, he walked by, and Ma seen him, yelled at him. He said he was looking over us. Yeah, I talked to him for a couple hours that day.
Yeah. And then when you met him, when you were fishing, on this side you got stitches. Did you get the stitches before you were just coming back?
Afterwards.
And he wrapped you up. So the first day you ever meet your dad, you were waiting for forever, and you come back with your foot all cut up. What'd you cut it out?
Clamshell. Right in between the toes. Blood running everywhere. No, I seen a guy walk by, and he walked by this way, and then he walked by that way. And I said, well, who's that guy out there? And she looked down and says, oh, that's your dad. Says, oh. And she ran out and yelled at him. He was looking for her. He said he'd been around the world 3 times. He was shot up. He couldn't keep a job, so he went traveling.
That's
tenant bar. Said he shot 2 guys in Chicago. And tried to rob the bar he was tenant bar in. And I seen him again. I think I was 25 or 28. He came and lived with us for a month. And that was kind of awkward.
He came and lived with you again?
Yeah, in Aurora. Yeah. That was kind of awkward because Mom was living across the street. He stayed there about a month or 2. Yeah. He flew back to California, Long Beach.
I got done by LA, I think.
California hotel was where he stayed. Okay. He was out there a month and his heart blew up. He was 50, 51. He got shot up in the service. Guadalcanal, he got shot across the legs. He was in the hospital in Australia for 2 years. We lived with Wilmer,
right.
And he had 2 boys. He came home in the summertime, was all. But I was the oldest, and then the 2 girls, Norris and John Schumann, Susie and Mary. And then Mom lost twin boys. I was 12 when she lost them. Yeah, she started bleeding and started to the hospital, and they saved her, but they lost 2 boys. Jimmy and Johnny. Yeah, she was the next week, didn't they? No, this was in Quasqueton. We lived in town at they call it the Brown House now, but we lived there before Browns did. It's Merle Chismore lives there right now. Lived just up the street from Main Street, 3 blocks up from Main Street in Quasqueton. We stayed there till I was 12, I think, or 13. Then we moved south of town out here to a farm. And we lived out there for 2 or 3 years. Then when I was a freshman, we did Aurora. She got pregnant again, and she lost my sister. She fell down. Apparently, they were coming over from somewhere, and my aunt had been drinking, and he blamed her for my mother falling down the stairs and losing the baby.
So he was going to either kill her or leave.
He figured he'd better leave. This is what he told me 25 years later. She's all right. She just really didn't pay much attention to me. I kind of did what I wanted because they were trying to keep things going between the two of them.
Did you get
Whenever
along
the stepkids came home, they always had troubles.
very well?
John and I got along good. Norris, thought he was older. He just wanted to be the boss. Yeah, he wanted his dad. He's always wanted his dad's attention, which he got to do a lot more work. He got to drive the truck once in a while. Made me and John mad, so I pushed him through the window one day in the house. And I got a little trouble. Well, she broke the broomstick over me one day, and I laughed at her. That really made her mad. She always did what she could for me. We didn't have much money. Homer didn't really want me, but you know how that is. Until I got old enough to milk cows, and I was all right.
Mm-hmm.
We moved out here on the farm. We milked cows out there, and we were up to 25, I think. We finally got a milk machine, milked them by hand. Then we moved to Aurora, and we had 48 cows up there. I milked until I started playing football the senior year, and then I was in the doghouse. I quit milking at night. Shortly after that, they sold the cows. So when I got out of school, I got out of the house. Oh, I fished a lot.
When you were
Down here, mowed lawn, fished, played baseball, little league. I pitched and played shortstop, played second base. Then 7th and 8th grade, I played high school baseball. They didn't have enough players, so I guess that was pretty good.
You were starting varsity then for.
Yeah.
Was it East Buchanan at the time when you were 7?
No, it was Quasqueton.
It became East Buchanan when you were
I was a freshman.
when you were a freshman. So you were the first class ever.
Yeah. I was 3, I think, or 4. I was living with my grandma at that time in Independence, down by the park. I had got a brand new 3-wheel trike, and I went to the fair, and they was all looking for me. And I remember that. My grandma used to remind me every once in a while. Scared the hell out. Scared the hell out of all of them, I guess. I knew where I was going, and I guess that's what I told them too. I knew where I was going.
Wake up.
When I was in town, you just rode your bike to school and went to school and came home.
Right, because it was
when I was out in the country, rode the bus for an hour out and an hour back. And it was halfway to Walker. That place with the white fence around it, that ranch style house right next to the creek there.
Yeah.
That's where we lived. I had milk cows before that, and afterwards, I used to hitchhike to town at night, have a pop, stand around, visit with the guys. See, I was raised in town pretty much. Out there, I was stuck. It was like putting me in jail. Saturday, we usually had to clean calf pens or something. Sunday, in the summertime, we'd kill 20 chickens, 2 geese, and 5 or 6 ducks, and butcher them. They I'd fry up a bunch of chicken, and my aunt and uncles would come down and have chicken, and we put 4 or 5 chicken in the freezer, and we do that every Sunday, and then by the end of the year, they have everything done. Cattle and pigs, we had everything. I had a cow, a couple dogs. I had a cow that was a great big, I think half Jersey and half Hereford. Great big cow. The cattle would go clear out in the pasture, probably a half mile away, every day and graze. At 4:30 at night, she'd come walking down the lane. I'd jump on her. We'd walk back out and bring the rest of the cows back in. She'd do it every night.
You name her?
Yeah, Bessie.
Bessie.
Oh, probably, let's see. Bill Armstrong, Dale Spargrow, the Crest boys here in town. We used to all play ball together and stuff. Yeah. Gary Frank, he was a farm kid out there. He lived out that way too. He's still a friend. He went to school together. I had some later on, I had some friends that lived out in farms. We used to go swimming every night after bailing and stuff.
Where would you swim? The river?
Yeah, up by the Eagle Iron Bridge up here. Used to have a diving board and everything up there.
Yeah.
We go through it every night after bailing hay. Mike Stanford, Merle Chesmore, a few of them guys. Georgie Crandon, a couple of the older guys. I was around with the older guys. They had cars. Moved to Aurora, and then Al Boyce and I was the best friends. He lived just down the road from me. We rode school bus together. His mom was a teacher. His dad was an alcoholic. I was pretty smart. I didn't get much trouble. Once I and Gary and Bill Armstrong, we got off the school bus and we decided one day we were going to go fishing. So rather than go to school, we went fishing. And we come back to get on the bus at 3:00, and they were waiting for us. We had 2 beers, a cigar, and a bag of Red Man. That was the 21st day of March. We went swimming. The ice was still floating down the river, skinny dipping. I remember that day, 12, 13. Yeah, I had a history teacher beat the hell out of me one day. I smarted off, I guess. He was telling me about how tough he was, and he was in the service too. He was in the Navy. Telling about all the fights. We used to get him telling stories all the time, and he'd talk all the way through class, and he was telling. Of course, my dad was a Marine, and he was in the Navy.
Of course, that's
He was telling about all the fights out there in San Diego where they used to take their belts off and beat the hell out of the Marine guys. And all I said was, he's asked questions, and I put my hand up and I said, "Were you ever really in a fight?" As far as I got, I was going to say a big fight where all the Marines and Navy guys, but that's as far as I got. He came up out of his chair and come down and hit me about 5 times. My face was all swelled up. He was gone the next year.
Was it because of that or because of other stuff? So your mom get him in trouble, or
She come in the next day, brought me in. I liked him all right. I played baseball for him, but he didn't dislike me. I think he just got the best of me. We moved, and one Halloween we moved to an outhouse. We didn't tip it over, but we moved it. And Al Boyce came back, ran across the cops, chased him across the yard, and he fell in with one leg. He forgot where it was. He had to go home. He had brand new hush puppies on. His mom was a school teacher, and she didn't like him doing stuff like that. When I was a kid, we were trick or treating down here in Quasqueton, and a guy blew up the outhouse, dynamite, on Halloween. Wonder if it didn't kill somebody. Probably Mrs. Marley, 5th grade. It's the first and only time I ever got A's in spelling. She made me stay after class every day.
yeah. Then you liked her.
She says, "I know you can do it. You just have to study." And I said, "Yeah.
Yeah, probably right.
You're going to stay after class until you get an A." Took a couple of weeks, but I got A's and A minuses the rest of the year. I played basketball in junior high too. After we moved to Aurora, I didn't play anything. You couldn't play any sports when you went to Winthrop. If you weren't from Winthrop, the old coaches there wouldn't. He wasn't class. He smoked and drank. He wouldn't be on their team.
And then you played football in your senior year.
Right, got new coaches. Offensive, defensive, left tackle. Pete Rose. Getting to play football, I guess.
Yeah.
I was co-captain, and homecoming game. I and Grapes both were. We were 8-2.
8-2.
I don't know. I got a book down there. It's got them all in it.
All right.
I'm getting old, I guess.
Yeah.
Can't remember shit. Oh, we played Linmar. The one kid, they had a brand new school in Linmar. One kid shit behind the door in the locker room after the game. And we got in trouble over that. You ever meet Mark Morris? His younger brother was a senior when I was a freshman down here. He got killed. He was a hell of an athlete. He got killed in a car wreck. Pretty sad. We all went to school. He was 4 years older than me, but Justin Coon's mom's brother. That was really sad. They had a funeral at the schoolhouse, and all the kids went, and something I always remembered, I guess. Don't drink and drive.
Do you ever get in trouble with it?
No.
Or just other people?
Other people. Maybe it's 51. 51 Chevy. Dark blue. Rebuilt one. Grandma bought it for me. I had a bigger bag. Well, I had $50, and she cost $125. She paid the rest, and I had a bigger bag. Wilmer wouldn't give me any money. Yeah, I took driver's ed. I never had to drive though.
Yeah, they just kind of.
There were so many of them that didn't know anything, and he let me ride. I rode in the back seat a couple times. He said, "You're a farmer. You know how to drive, don't you?" I said, "Yeah."
So you guys,
That was as far as it went. Pay attention. Read. I don't think I opened the book up twice in school. I never did any homework, let's put it that way. Pretty hard to do when you're milking cows at night. Well, I could have went to college, but I didn't think it was worthwhile.
Yeah.
I had a scholarship to go to Buena Vista.
Yeah.
Back then, it was $800 scholarship. Back then, I think that was just about a full ride.
For football or?
Yeah, too far to go, and I didn't have any backing. Yeah.
So it was like a draft. Yeah, you got drafted.
They called me in once. Said I was too fat, had high blood sugar. I went to work instead. I used to work for Yeoman's out in Aurora. I'd ride. Dave Yeoman got a job at John Deere, so I used to ride in with him at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go down to the employment office and sit down there, and then at 8 o'clock, Ernie Crest lived in Quasqueton here. He was an old guy working the foundry, and he worked third shift. He'd get off at 8 o'clock, and I'd ride back with him back to town, and then I'd go out and work in the field all day. Next morning, I'd do the same thing until I finally got on.
That was as soon as you graduated, you started doing that?
Yeah. Well, that was in the fall. Before that, I dug the first scoopful of dirt out at Starmont
For the school?
High School in the corner up there. I worked 2 days there.
2 days.
Digging. And I got a call from the road company. It was putting a new road in from Aurora out to Highway 3. I went down there and worked for a couple of days. Run a thumper packing in culverts.
Uh-huh.
And I got a call from Donaldson's in Owine toward the end of that week, and they wanted me to go up there and go to work. So I went up there and worked. Worked a month up there, and then I got laid back off. It was filling in for people.
Gotcha.
And after that, I went to work I was doing that back and forth thing to Deers. Finally, I got on at Deers.
Yeah.
A month after I got on at Deers, Donaldson's called me back. They wanted me to go back up there. So I stayed at Deers.
Yeah.
Before I had all them jobs, I worked for a guy named Spang, who ran a dairy place in Strawberry Point. I milked 200 cows every morning and night. That was right out when I got out of school. That was $5 an hour. After we got done with that, we go out and get hay, make hay and stuff. He was a good guy to work for.
Well,
I worked there about a month, and he died. Wanted to be a ball player, of course. But 29 and a half years. $2.92 an hour. I was down in the mailroom. It was 3/4 black guys down there. I'd never been around much. It was a little different. Jim Wilson was his name. He was about 3 years from retirement. He'd been there for a long time. Little red-haired guy. Real nice man. Treated me good. Otherwise, I'd probably got out of there. He just taught me how to do everything. We did, what I did was ground all the old 2-cylinder heads and blocks for repair. And a lot of that stuff had funny stuff on it. One day he saved me. Otherwise, I'd have been fired. They sent over these heads had things on them like this sticking out like needles. And luckily, I went and asked him. I said, usually we grind them off flat, knock them off, and grind them down flat so they're spots they located on the setup on. Well, these were special ones apparently, but we didn't know that. And so he said, go ahead and knock them off and grind them down like we normally do. So about 2 hours later, here comes 6 guys over from the foundry. Where's our special heads? I said, right there. Oh, you were supposed to leave them things on. That's what they needed to set the job up. Hadn't been set up for years. He said, I told him to. They run them again. He said, otherwise I'd have been fired. I worked 5 years in the mailroom. Finally bit out of there and got a job up doing running a wash machine on engine assembly. That was a good job. I worked splits on the line and washed all the manifolds before they put them on. And then I didn't have to get, but I took the layoff. It was back when you could let guys work. I took layoff for 6 months. And I came back up in working out of the office, being a stock chaser. You delivered these papers around, they scheduled everything off of schedule their machines off of. I did that for like 5 years, and then they put me on salary. I got on salary to be a scheduler. First, I was a coordinator for 2 years, and then I went up to be a scheduler, and that's where I got out. And I moved around. I was in 7 different departments. I kept putting down that I'd be glad to get a raise and go wherever you need me. And they kept moving me. Finally, I ended up down in heat treat, and they appreciated me a little better down there.
Yeah.
got about 10 years raises all in about 4 years. I think the nicest thing anybody said to me is that this one guy worked in his department for 2 years, scheduling up there, and when I retired, I'd been gone for like 5 years from there, and these guys came in and did my job. And he came down to my retirement. He said, "I never knew how much you did in my department," he said, "until after you left." He said,
That's really cool.
"I really appreciate what you did for me."
That's awesome.
Yeah. I and Wild Bill were going out for ribs for lunch on Thursdays. They always had ribs at this one old place out there, and really good ribs, homemade buns, and baby back ribs, and you'd have fried potatoes and gravy and a nice salad for $4. And every Thursday we go down there. We got a half an hour for dinner. So we were cruising down, and this gal in this Mercedes, 16-year-old girl, her dad ran Iowa Pump, run a big place in Waterloo anyway. They said she was probably doing 50, and when she crossed the bridge, the sparks were flying when she came off the last bump, and she hit us. We didn't have a chance. It's over.
The governor was standing right there.
Yeah, it was right down the block, and the TV cameras and everything. They come running down there, and we were just crawling out of it.
Hey, you didn't have your seatbelt on, right? Remember that, right? And then you
said we did.
And you pulled it over when you. You were all right, though, right?
Yeah. The other guy got $200,000 out of it.
The other guy did.
Yeah.
How'd that work? Did he get screwed up?
He had a neck injury before. He's a crooked bastard.
You
I went to Union Church down here when I was 7, I think. Donna converted me. Oh, Mom really was Catholic. She never went to church, but the whole family was. So I thought, need to do something. Plus it makes my wife happy.
There you go.
Computers, cell phones, flat screen TVs. You don't need them all the time. I like to have Christmas time. I like to have them check them out the door because nobody pays attention to what you're doing. Probably candy apple red. Probably a ribeye. Good lasagna, but pretty hard to beat. We ate at Chili's the other day. It used to be my favorite, but they don't have their salads aren't as good as they used to be. They used to have a southwestern Cobb salad, and that was the best salad I think I ever ate in my life. I eat a lot of salads anymore. I'm trying to lose weight, but you can see it ain't working. Old Milwaukee Light. Old Mill Light. Hams, and I like hams too.
And put a little tomato juice in it.
Yeah, I love red beer. Just smooths it out. Diet Coke and Diet Cherry Pepsi in the bottle, plastic bottle. Yeah, cherry nut probably. Apple pie. I had a '64 Super Sports black, 300 horse, 4-speed. It's a good car. Yeah, I had a '66 bronze Chevelle. 396, 360 horse, 4-speed. That's what we raced. Oh, that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Was a guy who was went up with us, and he was racing. He got his Chevelle just about like mine, always red, with a 375 horse. He had second gear, and he's a heavy guy too. Snapped the seat off, and he's rolling around the back seat. Luckily, it stopped without hitting anything. That's the funniest thing. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. We were watching him going by, and pretty soon he's gone. Quigley down under. Yeah, a couple. Well, we went to one night, and we didn't know it was X-rated. It wasn't X-rated. But yeah, it might have been pretty close anyway. But it wasn't a real good one. I didn't get to watch all of that. David Allan Coe.
David Allan Coe.
Our song was Things. That ain't my favorite song, but that was our song. Softball, football, football. Liked the Packers. The Bears. I root for different ones. I used to like Kansas City too. Fishing and golfing. I learned by myself, watching people. Mom used to take me down once in a while.
Yeah.
When I was real little. A lot more fish than varieties. I don't think there was any dams in below then. We had eel. There was eel. I drug a whole gunny sack full of quail back home one day. I thought I really had something. And Homer made me drag him clear back to the river. That's 4 blocks. I had sweat running off me. I was about 9. Probably one of the kids watched me down there. I was down and I caught a walleye, and then I caught another walleye, and I got it up, and it got off the hook, and I jumped down on all fours, hit and caught it. Had both knees skinned up, and the kids were laughing, dying laughing on the bank. Big cart about pulled crude off the dam one day. That was funny. I come home from work sometimes. I look over by the dam, and all I see is 3 heads out there. 3 Wolfe boys sitting out there. Be down below, throwing up toward the dam, catching catfish. I think the most fun I ever had was me and you carp fishing. There ain't many carp out there anymore, they say. I haven't even tried fishing for them yet. I can still see you. He went down river, and then he went up river.
The sailing pole snapped the line.
Then we got that one and hooked him up on the thing, and he pulled the damn end off the thing.
I was crying. That was terrible.
Yeah, you were.
We put him on the, hooked him up to the chain.
We must have had 40, 50 pounds of fish in that fish tank that one day, didn't we?
We filled it up with carp. We didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
It was, how was it? Neighbors would cut the brush, right?
Yeah.
And then,
well, we did too.
And then we'd see them all.
They'd be up blowing.
Up on top of the water rolling.
Like the next 2 days, they should be doing that.
Yeah.
They say there ain't very many anymore.
Just
I'll bet there's still some big ones out here.
Throw on corn, and that was a lot of fun.
No, you caught a crappie and
a catfish on corn.
What?
Yeah.
You gotta go? There's so many little ones where they lost their poles. We went to Angie Boyce was up in this big sandbar up there one day, and one evening we went fishing. She set her pole down. We told her, you gotta hang on to your pole. And she did more than set it down, and boom, it was gone. The boy went out, swam around, and finally found it. They got the fish with a 5-pound carp. Out in the farm, but not much.
Yeah.
About shot myself once. First time I used a 12 gauge. It was an old single shot. It seemed pheasant. So I took about both ends of cock it, and I cocked it. I took about 2 steps and must have hit a twig or something that went off. Shot back about 20 foot behind me. That was scary. I was shaking. That was in the middle of the cornfield. I don't know, 12, 13. I never told anybody that before.
Really?
I was up in the middle of the big timber, standing by this big tree up there. Ronnie borrowed a Frenchy automatic shotgun from somebody. And he gave it to me, and he'd stand up here, and he said, you can shoot them all when I come by. I looked down, there's 27 of them right in a row, single file coming right at me, from me to you. I shot and missed the first one. The son of a bitch stuck, and I never got any of them. They all ran right by me. And them guys are all standing down there laughing their ass off. They should have swung it at them. They all, 27 of them were up right by me. They were pretty much all does anyway, but it wouldn't have been so bad if they all knew exactly what happened. The giant pumpkin didn't get anything. 27 deer ran right by him. I ain't got any better. 2 weeks ago, they got them stone pillars, with the names on them. I teed off on 7. They hit that pillar. One day on the same hole, I teed off. We were playing in a tournament, I think. Toward the end of the day, we were getting pretty drunk. The other guys were running away. I must have been too. I went to tee off. I hit it right off the end of the thing. He rolled right over. Kurt Lang was standing like right there. And he rolled over, hit him on the left, right exactly, straight across from me. Never seen that before, Kurt said. I never seen that before. Oh, it used to be 4th of July, I guess. Up to Maz, we cook out peppers and tomatoes and onions and stuff in big pouches and make a whole bunch of that up. Zucchini and stuff. And cook chicken and ribs
Big
and
party.
stuff. They used to make a coffee can drink, and the women also would get stupid on that. Gin and powdered sugar. It was called a mint julep. It's good stuff, apparently. Don always had a birthday week, so I decided I needed a birthday month. I'd run from the 10th of June past the 4th. Drink a little extra probably is about the only difference. They're all good. Used to have turkey and ham, and then we kind of went to prime rib. We had prime sirloin a couple times. When we were poorer, we had a lot of turkey. Mashed potatoes and gravy, corn, apple pie, cranberries, grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have them afterwards. Usually ham, green bean casserole, and turkey and ham.
Yeah.
Since Alyssa got old enough to, that's what she liked.
Yeah. I remember that.
Most of my life.
Touche.
No. When we were first married. No, not really. Probably when we first moved down here,
Yeah.
things were real tight. I was scared to death, and my house payment was only $180 a month, which now it seems like nothing, but
Right.
at the time I was only making $4 an hour, $5. The way kids act growing up nowadays, I guess the lack of discipline. Not that I was ever disciplined very much, but a lot of them are just completely out of control. I mean, in schools and everywhere. I don't understand that. I guess with both people working all the time, it's hard to.
Right. It's not.
They're on their own lot. I don't know. I've always treated them the same, but I always try to treat everybody the same. That's how I got along as well as I did at work.
Yeah.
I always try to treat everybody the same anyway.
Yeah.
Until they prove different. I think it's good. That's about everybody you see going to work anymore are women. It's gotten a lot better, but still got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
Some of them guys are really good guys, and some of them are just like everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
I had this secretary. I was the scheduler, and I sat in this desk, and she sat behind me. She's a little black. She's a beautiful girl, but she stabbed her husband one night. She come to work the next day. She was still kind of mad. That was the same day I got a high back chair. Lived this long. And, probably never thought I'd get as far as I did at Deers. Just dyslexia or whatever it is I have. I don't read very well. I mean, I can read, but I can't read fast. I won a bowling tournament once. Seeing the kids all do well, and the grandkids, and letting my wife do whatever she wants, pretty much. Being able to help her do a lot of the things she wanted to do. Seeing my dad at 25, that's something that always bugged me.
Do you think that made you a better father?
I hope so. Yeah, I should have been better in my life, I guess. Better had more stuff. Went further in debt. I was always the tight one. At least the list she gave me the other day, there must be a lot of things she wants yet. And I studied harder in school. Tried to figure out a way to go to college, but that would have changed a lot of things, so I don't think I'd do anything different. course, I didn't think I was going to live this long, so I would have taken better care of myself.
Yeah.
I worked 30 years at Deers and only worked 4 days at nights. You didn't see anybody else that does that. I was supposed to work the whole week, but I missed a day. He said, I come back in on Monday. He said, they called me Saturday. They called me and said, you must not like to work nights. Come back in on days Monday. I said, yeah, you're right. We used to have a lot of fun down in the lots when the kids were younger.
Yeah.
Fishing and Boy Scouts and stuff.
Yeah.
Every time I drive by El Peter up there, I can see Randy bouncing off the fence, playing in that baseball. Lance and Key, they played, and they got beat 5-6 or something like that. About killed himself. Well, the old school used to be, there's a ditch down there. He come down off there and tore a big hole out of his leg right there with his bicycle. Every time I drive by there, I see. And they rode off Scott Webb's. They built a ramp out there. They rode up on top of the chicken house and then across the board down off this other chicken house. And I was Kurt Ronnie was the first one, and they about killed themselves in that too. Broke the spokes off. And that creek out there, and then them and the Chesmores were out there camping. Chesmore's brand new tent. They burnt the tent down. About all killed themselves that time. As long as they're still alive. Having a healthy grandkids and family, look this far without anybody dying or getting hurt too bad, or always had a good time. About it. Try to be a good father and a good husband. Live every day and treat everybody the same. That's about it. Don't lie and don't steal. Do just about anything else, it won't bother me. I had a good time. I believe in enjoying life. Living it every day to the best of your ability. Treat everybody the same. Enjoy yourself. Work hard, play hard. It's always been my motto.